There's a political consultant who went on MSNBC and said, if you were supporting Bernie Sanders over Elizabeth Warren, given everything that we know today, you are sexist. I wish that this was a fake headline. It is not. Let's look at the video of Emily Tisch Sussman saying this in her own words, doing the thing where she says, some people are saying if you support Bernie over Warren, it's sexist. And I think there might be something to it. Take a look.
There's a ceiling. There is nowhere to go, but there is no up to go. And all of those support, I actually overheard someone saying that I thought was an interesting point, that basically at this point, if you are still supporting Sanders as opposed to Warren, it's kind of showing your sexism because she has more detailed plans and her plans have evolved. I thought it was an interesting point, and I think there may be something to it.
Yeah, I agree with all that.
It's a good answer, Chris.
Yeah.
What? There are about there's at least three layers through which we need to analyze this, three lenses through which we need to try to understand this. First of all is just the sheer stupidity of this comment. If you have two candidates and one is male and another is female, if supporting the male is a sign of sexism against the female candidate, then by extrapolation from that, if you have a Jewish candidate and a Christian candidate, and you support the Christian candidate, Elizabeth Warren in this case, that must be anti-Semitism against the Jewish candidate Bernie Sanders, right? No, I would be an idiot if I tried to make that argument. I would immediately lose all credibility to put forth any kind of political analysis, which is why I'm not going to make such a stupid argument. And that's equally dumb as what Emily Tisch Sussman says here. That's the argument that's being made. And I hesitate to even use the term argument because it's not really an argument. It's just nonsense. So that's problem number one. The argument is idiotic. Secondly, we have here the growing problem that I've been telling you about. Last week, I did a segment where I said the critiques from left to left, the critiques among Democratic primary voters of other Democratic candidates are starting to get to be the level of toxicity that is going to hurt the eventual nominee and help Donald Trump in 2020. Okay? These are the types of more vicious and inaccurate attacks that are going to self-destruct and lead to the reelection of Donald Trump. And there are all sorts of reasons why someone might support Bernie Sanders over Elizabeth Warren. And there are reasons people are supporting Elizabeth Warren over Bernie Sanders, none of which have to do with religion or gender. Bernie, for example, has been clear that Medicare for all is the path forward for healthcare. Now, you can agree or disagree with that. That's his position. Elizabeth Warren has been more wishy-washy. Now, you might agree with Warren. There are reasonable people who can say, you know, I don't want to put all my eggs in the Medicare for all basket. And so I like Elizabeth Warren's more open-minded approach. Or you could say, I don't see Elizabeth Warren as open-minded. I see her merely as wishy-washy and unwilling to take a position. I'm going with Bernie on this issue. None of that has to do with religion. None of that has to do with gender. Warren voted for a bigger Pentagon budget. Bernie voted against it. That might be a reason to vote for Bernie. Has nothing to do with sexism, obviously. Bernie won't take corporate PAC money in the general, and Elizabeth Warren will. There's a big argument to be had about that. On the one hand, do you want someone who is potentially going to be at a disadvantage merely because they're saying, I won't take PAC money and my opponent will, and that hurts me? Or you could say, I love that Bernie is not going to compromise principles and he is not going to take corporate PAC money in the general. Whatever, right? I'm just telling you what the arguments are. To say that supporting the male candidate, because as Emily Tisch Sussman said, Warren's plans are more detailed, supposedly, is absurd and pathetic. It actually is. It's so sad that this is what things have come to. These are ridiculous attacks that are baseless at their core, but they're destructive to the movement. There are serious critiques and disagreements anyone can have with Bernie or with Warren, but this is absurd, childish, and counterproductive. Now, the other thing, layer three, as we might call it, is that this particular consultant or pundit or whatever, Emily Tisch Sussman, she is part of the Democratic establishment that has shown that they don't like Bernie. She's the former vice president of campaigns for the Center for American Progress, an establishment Democratic outfit. Her father, Donald Sussman, was one of the top Hillary donors in 2016, donating more than $22 million to Hillary. So I think you probably understand what's going on here. This is truly terrible stuff. You hate to see it if what you care about is removing Donald Trump in 2020. And unfortunately, more and more Democrats are doing it. I'm not saying everybody's the same. Not every candidate has this going on to the same degree. But we've seen enclaves of toxic Bernie supporters. We've seen toxic enclaves of Bernie detractors. We've seen Biden supporters who are doing right-wing talking points about socialism and communism, about Bernie and Warren. We've seen anti-Biden people that are going well beyond what the evidence tells us should be the case against Biden into what are smears. We've seen Warren detractors. We've seen the cult of personality around Tulsi Gabbard with some of her supporters. Yang supporters, some of them have been going over the line. This is getting bad. This is exactly how we lose. And I hope, what else can I say? I hope that everybody realizes this and abandons this strategy.